Act 1. Tereon's design objectives and capabilities. Tereon is the foundation of a ubiquitous payment system, enabling true real-time payments of any type with superior security, regulatory compliance, scalability, and cost-effectiveness. It does so by offering technology comprising rails and services operating on those rails, a toolset for ongoing innovation and competition between service providers. The criteria set out for the Faster Payments initiative match closely with Tereon's original design goals to create a truly ubiquitous payment system. See our white papers for details. Ubiquity. Tereon supports all use cases and at costs that do not exclude small merchants or the unbanked. It also supports bank or non-bank payment service providers working alone or within the context of a scheme. It consists of several modules. Efficiency. Tereon supports any format, including internationally recognized formats such as ISO 2022. It simply creates the API required to support that payments format and then proceeds to provide the information to and receive information from a bank in that format. It can link together payment providers that use separate formats. Security. Tereon's security model protects its users' privacy and eliminates the security flaws in existing payments services. Tereon signs and encrypts all of its communications. It uses protocols that have been tested and proven to be resistant to man-in-the-middle attacks. Only a consumer can authorize a payment from his or her account. No one else can access the information necessary to do so. The merchant never sees any of the data that the customer enters to authenticate and authorize a payment. The merchant does not see and does not store any information that PCI DSS seeks to protect. Tereon and the banks retain the records of each transaction for any necessary investigation. Settlement. Tereon supports any type of settlement mechanism from genuine real-time settlements through to netted, deferred settlement. It does not demand that providers change their operations to meet its way of working. Tereon can hypothecate any sums due to satisfy a payment and so enable one operator to guarantee to another that the latter will receive funds from the former. Legal and governance. These requirements are not afterthoughts but built into the design of Tereon from the outset. Act 2. How it works. Let's take a look at the payments process for a standard mobile consumer to a merchant payment, where the merchant uses either a mobile device or a card terminal. The merchant presses the Receive Payment button and then enters the customer's mobile phone number, which is what the consumer has chosen to use. Alternatively, a tap would suffice with NFC. The consumer's application now displays that merchant's ID and asks if he or she wishes to pay the merchant. The customer confirms by pressing Yes. The merchant now enters the amount, $119.95, presses Sell and enters his or her PIN. This is so that the merchant can track or who have taken each payment if the merchant needs that level of audit. The customer reviews the amount and presses Buy to make the payment. The application now asks the customer to enter his PIN. This is to prevent an unauthorized payment from the customer's account. The customer's Tereon server confirms to the merchant's Tereon server that the customer has approved the payment, and each of these servers communicate with the respective banks and instruct them to debit and credit the relevant customer, merchant, and settlement accounts. The banks confirm back to the servers that they have done so. The payment provider does not need to be a bank. It can be any party that is allowed to provide a payment service. All that is required is that the money remains within the banking system, either as user accounts or as a control account that the bank operates on behalf of the payment service provider. All that matters is that the banks and other operators are willing to accept the risk of dealing with a participant. The transactions do not need to happen between banks in the same country or area. The directory server allows banks to transact between any bank that uses the Tereon system, so long as that bank is authorized to operate on the network. At each step, both Tereon servers generate real-time audit logs of the transaction. They can record any information except for the PINs or passwords that a user enters and feed that information into AML monitoring systems, fraud monitoring systems, and any other monitoring or analysis system that the banks operate. The servers can tailor the information to meet the requirements of each particular feed so that each system only receives the information that it is entitled to see. Tereon servers can connect to a bank's core systems at multiple levels, each of which can be dictated by the banks or their regulators. The servers can instruct the bank's systems to register transaction, they can process the transactions and register the results of those transactions. Act 3. Tereon supports a truly ubiquitous payment system. Tereon does not just support merchant payments or peer-to-peer payments and transfers, it supports all of these channels and form factors. It supports any payments use case, from active participants through to passive participants, from users through to transactions involving non-users. Tereon takes into account the most stringent legal and regulatory requirements globally. We work closely with our customers to synchronize the technical and non-technical aspects of a Tereon implementation. We do not impose our models, but allow for maximum autonomy.